What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Then Milam suddenly opened her eyes wide.
Rimuru, I think I got some business to take care of. That dragon.
She squinted into the empty space in front of her, then used spatial transport to vanish from the scene. Judging by her panic, I could see where this was going. If Milam was freaking out over something, it was usually of her own doing, and that meant the enemy found one serious skeleton in her closet.
I really can't believe this, but I think that's Milam's dragon, friend. She sealed away long ago. It didn't get resurrected. Someone's unsealed it and is controlling its will now.
What? Is that true, Sir Rimuru?
Yeah, I'm feeling these intense shockwaves. Not even I might be able to beat it.
I was telling the truth. Charybdis, made from the remains of Veldora's power, was like an insect compared to this. The sheer hatred and rage was overpowering. I doubted it would ever stop until it destroyed the whole world. And the scary thing was, all of its emotions were painted over black in my mind. Maribel's emotional takeover skills were controlling that thing.
A chaos dragon. I never thought I'd see such a tyrant in this day and age.
Kigali murmured, and I firmly agreed. Thank heavens Milam was here. I was sure she could beat that guy and put it back to sleep for us. Then I wouldn't have anything to worry about. For now, we had our own things to take care of.
Datta, Shion, we have guests to welcome.
Roger that.
I'm on it. Those puny little dolls are no match for me.
I thought about opening a transport gate to evacuate the expedition team to the surface, but I didn't think I'd have the time. An organized legion of golems was now here for us, bearing down at full speed as we stood in front of the door. Shion stepped forward, brandishing her large sword. Unfortunately, it caught on the corridor's low ceiling.
Damn it, check your surroundings.
Sorry, just a little mistake.
A little mistake could cost you your life. It cost her a bit, judging by the spear from one golem that was now stuck inside her. That nonsense left her wide open, and I really wish she'd get it together for a change.
It's too cramped to fight in here. I don't know what's beyond, but maybe there's a bigger space in the third section.
Then maybe we can have them hurry up with deactivating it.
Nah, at this point, I'll just do it myself.
Sorry, guys, but time's up.
Ranga, help those two.
While Datta, Shion, and Ranga bought time for me, I quickly wrapped up the door for us. The alarms were still blaring, all the traps were activated. I wanted to avoid violence in here to keep the ruins as intact as possible, but luckily, the door opened without much of a challenge.
Get inside.
Heeding my words, the expedition team quickly ran down the stairway inside, none of them demonstrating a hint of panic. Kigali followed behind, and I joined her, protecting her back as we all went into the crypt area. The dead were asleep here, but it didn't look the part. It was an enormous, brightly lit space, large enough to house a broad, grass-covered plain. I almost forgot everything as I marveled at the landscape, but now was no time for surprises. Soon Datta was down the stairs, the golems not far behind, and the battle began anew. Now, however, things were turning around. Shion had full freedom of movement, and now she was pulverizing those golems. At this point, I didn't want to let anyone escape. When I strike hard, and my foes probably think the same way. After all, they were trying to keep me isolated in here, even if it meant risking the wrath of Milam. I didn't think they'd go that far. Honestly, I probably underestimated Maribel. But no more.
Understood. Shifting into full power battle mode.
Quietly, I finished my preparations. All restrictions I placed on myself were removed, to get myself ready for the enemy to come. Now I just had to wait for the ringleader. There were a large number of golems, but we had the advantage. Shion was kicking up a huge ruckus, and Ranga was going berserk. In between them, Datta was destroying each golem with the gun he had, one at a time. He even had enough time to reload at regular intervals. Seeing how in control he was, the expedition team looked pretty reassured.
I'm surprised there was actually an attack. But what kind of force would attempt to attack a demon lord? Even waking up a chaos dragon for it.
Kigali must have been curious about that. She seemed disturbed, the concern clear in her voice. If it was an act, she was good at it, but I still didn't know what lay in her heart.
Sorry to drag you into this.
Not at all. If there's a living chaos dragon out there, I wouldn't feel safer with anybody else, Sir Rimuru.
Yeah, we need to report this to the guild HQ and figure something out. But if the demon lord Malim loses, there's not much we can do, is there?
We need to survive this first. I don't know who deliberately set off the trap, but that was such an evil thing to do.
I was seeing some optimistic opinions among the team. They sure knew how to mentally switch gears on a dime.
I told you I was gonna protect you, right? And if I win, we're good.
I tried to keep it casual as I calmed them down. I had Gapta and Ranga here, not to mention Xian. And Milam, strongest among all the demon lords, wasn't gonna let a chaos dragon beat her. It wasn't a good situation, but it wasn't a terrible one, either. We had to kill our foes, survive this onslaught, and address our anxieties. Simple. Kigali must have been relieved a little, because she didn't say anything else for a bit. I turned my eyes toward Gapta's battle, waiting for the adversaries to come.
You have many foes, Sir Rimuru.
She whispered.
Is that because you're a demon lord?
I was unoccupied while waiting for my enemy, so I casually replied to her.
It wasn't voluntary on my part, but yes.
Why is that?
The kingdom of Pharmus provoked me. With Clayman, my foe was messing with me, so I had to respond. Hinata the Saint had the wrong idea about me. In every case, it was started by the other side. I just played along. In a way, it was self-defense.
It was? So you never start anything, Sir Rimuru?
Well, maybe I can't say that. With this particular enemy, it's kind of a conflict between motivations. Our philosophies don't mesh. This would have happened sooner or later anyway, I think.
You can't resolve it without fighting.
Sure we can. But that resolution would probably never come until I swallowed up the other side. If they didn't want that, they were probably right to do this.
With the twin superpowers of Dwargon and Thalion at their side, Tempest would have no reason to lose in an economic war with the Western nations. If the enemy did nothing, I'm certain that we would have annexed them all, financially speaking. Raphael's way faster than a quantum computer. I wouldn't stand for anyone dissing it.
Oh, so you think the other side's justified in this, then?
Are they? Maybe we could have accepted the differences in our principles and agreed to some mutual concessions. If we were never gonna get involved with one another again in the future, that might have worked. But if they're justified, then so am I. I had no interest in doing whatever they said, and they didn't want me ruling over them. And if that's how it was, confrontation was the only choice. In a way, economic warfare is even more terrifying than the kind with guns and tanks. There's no defined surrender in one, and as long as the other side doesn't fall under your umbrella, it never ends. Thus, you could say that my foes turning to military warfare was a stroke of luck. This way, once they realize they can't win, they'll have to admit to defeat. But even if that was their only choice, the question of whether it was just or not is another issue entirely.
Well, justice can mean a ton of different things, depending on your viewpoint. I'm not saying I'm absolutely correct, but if I retreat here, that's going to worsen my position. The only choice I have is to fight.
It's not that I couldn't have taken a more modest path, but if I bent, all my friends would have gone down with me.
Even so, if you respected the other side's position and tried talking to one another to search for a better relationship, don't you think you could have avoided hostilities?
That's a tough one. How should I answer it? I didn't have to worry about it. A young girl's voice answered for me.
It's impossible. So impossible. People have endless desires. You can't ask them to be patient. And if the other side bends, the demands get bigger and bigger. That's part of being human.
Right. If I conceded, I'd like to believe the other side would understand. But that's just not realistic. If I were just another citizen who could believe in fairy tales, maybe I could have given you an earful of all that idealistic stuff. But from a politician's point of view, there's just no way I can believe in that nonsense. And I guess my adversary thought the same way.
You know, I think the exact same thing. I'm the Demon Lord Rimuru. You are?
Good to meet you. My name is Maribel. I'm your enemy.
Somewhere along the line, all the golems had been defeated. There, I saw a girl I caught sight of at the Founders Festival. The enemy I anticipated and one far bolder than I ever imagined. I figured she'd be the sly sort who didn't venture out herself, but I wasn't expecting to see her right here in front of me. And it wasn't just Maribel. 3 others were next to her. Gaia, looking completely changed. A man in knightly clothing, and Yuki Kagarizaka. The sight disturbed Kigali and the team.
Guildmaster, why are you here?
No, were you after the Demon Lord's life?
You're kidding me. Then why did you order us to explore the ruins?
Yuki demonstrated zero response to these questions. Just as Glenda said, he must have been under her complete control.
Sir Yuki, what is the meaning of this? Are you turning your backs on us?
Kigali's voice was full of anger. It sounded like that came from the heart, but that didn't matter anymore. I really wanted to end this farce soon and go back up Milam, but before that.
Yeah, you certainly are my enemy. But before we fight, there's one thing I'd like to ask, if that's okay.
I said. I turned my eyes toward the blonde-haired girl. The expedition seemed thrown by my choice, but I kept watching silently. By this point, I suppose they've thrown their lot in with mine. Or maybe they've been taken in by this girl's dark atmosphere. That shiny blonde hair, those lips the color of cherry blossoms. Maribel, this girl who may or may not be just 10 years old. Deep down, though, she was cold, just too different from anyone else on the planet.
What is that?
Join me, then we can avoid all this needless conflict.
Laughable. So laughable. You should join with me, Demon Lord Rimuru. You're going to lose right here. If you don't like it, submit to my rule.
Your approach isn't a match for my policies. The way you do things will lead to unnecessary wars. It'll make countless innocent people suffer, just to keep the riches of a few safe.
Yes. I'll admit to that. But so what? It's completely natural for the powerless to be exploited. It's survival of the fittest with monsters, too, is it not?
Oh, it is. But I don't like that.
Well, it's stupid. It's so stupid. Do you believe in a bunch of insipid nonsense, like, we're all equal?
No, I'm not a total idiot, but everybody needs to be given an opportunity. Some people just can't manage to do anything, but you can't cast away people's values that easily, can you?
Some people bloom later in life, some have hidden talents. You have people who hate working but have unbelievable artistic talents. With Maribel's approach, once a gap opens between rich and poor, it'll be impossible to close again, and I just couldn't accept that. From the moment they're born, people are unequal. That was a given. You could probably count the monetary fortune a set of parents gives to their child as a kind of talent. But a life where you've given no opportunity at an education, just constant exploitation, meant ignoring the potential in all of us. In a word, it was a waste. People have an infinite potential for talent. Throwing all that away is unthinkable, but
ridiculous. So ridiculous. I can't believe a childish dreamer like you is a demon lord. Your stupidity is simply unbelievable.
My argument didn't move Maribel.
Is it? Well, all right. Then let's determine which one is right. There couldn't be an easier way.
Gladly. Let me teach you how reality works.
Our arguments would never mesh. Only through a fight would we ever reach a conclusion. I did feel sad about that, but I could accept it.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shoutout to Nightgazer, Pickle Rick, Luminous Ega, Joy Rivera, Crystal Dizon, Harshal Chauhan, Akshat Yadav, Minako 13, Aditya Pawar, and last but not least, shoutout to Susan Young. I'll see you guys in the next video.